Yes, it
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Thanks for joining us for Donnybrook, the 1st of September. We've got lots of hot topics coming your way for the next half hour. And then on the second half hour, we're going to talk about urban flooding. Did you see the video from New York City and elsewhere, not to mention New Orleans, of course? Robert Criss, Professor Emeritus of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Washington University in St. Louis, will be our guest. Let's meet our panelists for this edition of our show, starting with the news director for the Big 550 KTRS and the co-host of the Jennifer and Wendy Show, Wendy Wiese. Mr. Bill McClellan, great columnist with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and STLtoday.com. Ray Hartmann, another great columnist with rawstory.com, the Riverfront Times, and talk show host at the Big 550. Alvin Reid, great sports columnist with the St. Louis American, also the news editor there. And speaking of columns, maybe a moment, Bill, to congratulate you on a fantastic column on Sunday when you did announce to all your many readers that you are cancer-free. That is such good news.
Thank you, Charlie.
And let's see, we'll start, I guess, this morning with you, Alvin, who, by the way, has a birthday. You have a birthday on Monday. Do you want to explain to our viewers just your connection to Labor Day?
Well, my mom went into labor on Labor Day in 1960. I was born the next morning. I will say that I was 60, I was born in 1960 and I turned 60. It's 6 is wild, 9, 6, 60, and it's here again. And because Labor Day has to be the first Monday in September, and then you're throwing the leap year every 4 years. My birthday falls on Labor Day weekend, like unusually a lot. So it's all about me. Football, school. It's this weekend is mine.
Well, you're getting up there, Alvin, where someday you might need a nursing home. And the news from Michelle Munns of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was not all that encouraging in Sunday's Post-Dispatch because she reported that Missouri nursing home workers are fully vaccinated at a rate of 48%. That's way below the national average of 61% for nursing home workers. She found 20 nursing homes that had vaccination rates for the workers under 20%. Some in our area were as low as 10% of the workers taking care of our most vulnerable, those who are, most likely to die from catching COVID-19, 10% of those workers vaccinated. Is there anything that can be done, in your opinion, knowing that if the vaccine is mandated, and it's going to be by the federal government, there might be a huge walkout among our elderly?
Well, we're at that point, I think, in the United States of America, that all the threats and I'm going to quit and I'll never do it, they just have to be faced down. You have to get vaccinated to work in these facilities, okay? Whatever, 48% is not acceptable. 61% is sad if that's average, or you think that's what's supposed to be pretty good. But I mean, it's time. So you quit, all right? Now, what do? Well, we attract workers with a bonus, but also a higher salary. And maybe you could get people who are retired, volunteers, and maybe they don't want to work there for a long period of time, but you could get them there, especially with a really somewhat generous hourly wage. And, folks that work at, $15 an hour to work at fast food places. What if you offered them $21 an hour to come work at, one of these facilities? I think you can make it work. I can't guarantee that, but what I can guarantee is if I were in charge, it would just be mandated. I mean, if you want to work here, you have to get vaccinated. You can be mad, you can quit, you can do whatever you want to do, but if you're going to work here, you have to be vaccinated.
That's the scary thing, though, in my opinion, for these nursing home, for the operators, because they don't have anybody to replace the ones who have already threatened to quit. And these are, I see what you're saying, Alvin, and in a perfect world, people would respond to maybe a bigger paycheck. But today, that seemingly, I mean, that's not really bringing people in. And if you have a loved one who is being cared for in one of these facilities, I would expect a higher quality of care than somebody who just walked out of a fast food restaurant.
Well, Wendy, how high quality of care do you have from somebody that doesn't have the judgment to get themselves vaccinated?
Well, that is a good point. And why
and
would you work with elderly people if you don't care enough about them and their well-being?
I'm with Alvin. Let Adam Smith supply and demand capitalism, give it a try and see what happens. And keep in mind, nursing homes have to go through all kinds of regulations and hoops and health rules to operate a nursing home. It's a complicated business. It's a difficult business to operate in that respect. They're used to having rules to follow. And I'm with Alvin. This is one of the ones that ought to be followed. It's real simple. You don't have a right to have a job in any particular place.
But what if they have to shut down?
A public
Let me make a couple points. First of all, I thought it was a great story by Michelle Munn, but Anika Marilease also had a byline on it. So there were two reporters on it, and give Anika a little credit. But the problem about we'll just pay people more is a lot of these places are low rent places, and this is unpleasant work. And you can say, okay, well, we'll give people $21 an hour, but somebody's got to pay for it. And these are often very poor people in these nursing homes. And, I don't have the solution, but I don't know where the money comes from that you could throw at it. And, maybe eventually we'll go back to the way society has been for years and years, where old people live with their children and their grandchildren and in multi-generational homes. But, I'd rather work in a fast food place myself than in a nursing home.
Well, that's interesting, but I will say, there are a lot of jobs out there that are paying pretty good money. Metro's advertising for drivers. That's pretty good. You can make six figures now as a nurse. There's a nursing shortage there. There's a nursing shortage in driving. We know about the school bus drivers who aren't paid they're not paid a king's ransom, but it's a competitive wage at $20 or so an hour, and they can't attract people. I'm just not sure, Alvin and Ray, if you up the pay, and even I would like to see nursing home workers make more money, and the federal government had that in the infrastructure bill, and then they took it out. I wish they had kept it in for our caregivers, especially since I'm getting closer and closer to that. I don't know if you'd attract Americans to do that kind of work. I think Bill is right.
Let me add one other point, a little rebuttal here. Don't assume that just because people say they're going to quit,
that's what I was going to say, Ray.
Don't assume they're quitting. I think
it's sure?
The Reid plan, I think, has several elements. The first, if I may speak, no, I was saying that the first thing to find out before raising the pay is let's see how many people get their bluffed.
I agree. You got to start calling people.
Talk about how much money there is.
Okay. Well, let me move from nursing homes to high schools. Bill McClellan, let's talk about Webster Groves. There's a story this week indicating that at least one mom said that it's the hill that she'll die on, and that is she wants her daughter to be able to wear a crop top to Webster Groves public schools. It's an interesting hill to die on, a crop top, but nonetheless, that's how she feels. And a bunch of these Webster Groves girls protested this week, insisting that they should be allowed to, bare their abdomen in these midriffs that are so popular these days. Do you stand with the schools that are trying to ban them, or with the students who want to wear them?
Well, I have a granddaughter, Evie, who turns 11 later this month, and she goes to Webster Groves, and I wish I would have asked her, but I did ask my daughter, and my daughter was with the kids. She said that she doesn't think that there's a big problem in Webster Groves about crop tops. Is that what they're called? And she thinks it's a parental thing. And so I stand with my daughter, who stands with the mothers, and school dress codes get to be, to me, all or nothing. you either have uniforms or you pretty much let parents decide what the kids are going to wear.
Well, I love Lorna and I love Evie and I love you, but I stand with the Webster Groves with the school district, because this is not, one of the women quoted in the article said this is sexism. Well, if it's sexism, the boys are not allowed to wear crop tops either. So that blows that argument right out of the water. We have to have rules, because eventually somebody is going to want their daughter to be able to wear heaven knows what. And I think I agree with Bill. I think uniforms would be fantastic. But the only thing that's going to make them scream louder than a ban on crop tops is the imposition of wearing uniforms. But I stand with Webster Groves on this. I really do. That's why we have dress codes and rules.
I stand with Webster Groves too. Listen, this is school. Now, this is not, the weekend or fashion show or whatever. This is school. And they've determined that, this could be a problem. Now, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, okay? But in a society where we're dealing with issues between young men and young women that we have never really had to deal with before, this gray area of what is, just in, unappropriate behavior. If they say like, hey, this could be a problem, and we're gonna, what did Barney Fife say? We're gonna nip it in the bud, then I stand with Webster.
Where do I go to sign up for Team Lorna and Evie?
Webster.
I'm on Team Evie
This is an
all the way.
anti-Evie.
And
That's not fair.
I'm on Team Evie all the way. And frankly, this reminds, we've gone through so many generations. The arguments about masks today were about rock music in the 80s. I mean, we've had this kind of gradual thing. I think you can't go wrong with self-expression. These issues always seem like such a bigger deal.
That's what school is for, Ray.
No, excuse me. Usually all of these issues are mostly notable because they're issues, as opposed to if they just let it go, everybody's chill about it. Crop tops are not going to bring the end of society like they've been saying this about so many things was going to ruin our children. Let it go.
And the parents are the parents that I've seen in Webster Groves. I think you can trust their judgment pretty much.
No, I was just going to say.
Trust their judgment completely, but it is all it's going to take is one woman.
No, but you have to
all
trust
it's going to take is one parent saying, I think my daughter should be able to wear pasties to school. I mean, seriously. It could happen.
Come on.
It's 2021. Anything could happen right now.
Slope, Wendy. I mean, you can have standards,
I think I know what Joe's going to tweet for our quote of the week here on Donnybrook.
I will say real quick.
Let's move on, because we're out of time. We're running out of time.
Keep in mind, no one's requiring them to work.
Okay. Thank you very much. And don't forget, you are right. It was 60 years ago, Ray, that Charles Kuralt had his documentary 16 in Webster Groves. What has changed? Okay.
It was 0 in Kirkwood.
By the way, I'm against
Come on, let's move on. Let's move on.
Charlie, I'm against mandatory crop tops.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for a muzzle for you once in a while. Let me ask, how about a mask, Wendy? Last week, the St. Louis County Council voted 4-0. 3 Republicans abstained for a measure that kind of recommends masks. It's not a mandate. In fact, Rita Hurd-Days, who changed her vote along with her colleague Shalonda Webb, said it's just a ceremonial piece of paper because it's not going to be enforced. And then there was an announcement by the county executive along with the 4 Democrats. They kind of said, hey, we're all together on this page. We're sending a message about the problems of COVID-19. How did you react?
I agree with what you said several weeks ago, Charlie. The people responsible for the predicament that we're in are the ones who refuse steadfastly to abide by the rules, to get the vaccine, to wear the mask, what have you. But Sam Page, in a way that only he can, is basically, he's trying to look like an effective leader. Rita Hurd-Days is worth her weight in gold. Every syllable that she utters is just a truth bomb. because she's right. It's a ceremonial piece of paper. It means nothing. But Sam Page insists that what this means is that everyone agrees with the spirit of it's just ridiculous. They should have done this several weeks ago.
But that's on
wouldn't have
writ of
ended up in
days.
county
But now,
court.
wait a minute. That's not on Sam Page. That's on writ of days. Now we've got, Jewish people being insulted. I know some of you all disagree with that. We got out of control, raucous, just foul council meetings. And all they had to do was say, like, this is just ceremonial. The police aren't going to arrest people, all that kind of stuff. So why do we have to go through 5 weeks of turmoil? I don't understand it. So if they had simply not done this, and then I think this kumbaya joint statement and all that is because, look, Councilwomen Days and Webb, they're swimming upstream right now. And I think that the force of it caught up with them and they realized, they're like, wow, I think this could ultimately cost us. And that's, why they changed their tune. I mean, there was ramifications.
I think Sam Page is the only salmon here who's swimming upstream.
Well, we need that $2 million communication firm from New York try to tell us what all this means, because I don't get it either.
Right.
Well, I think Sam Page has, first of all, I think what explains the first few weeks of, fairly useless chaos was a internal strife between the Democrats.
Useless.
Sam, it was useless, but Sam, for whatever reason, just won't show the county council, which he used to chair, enough deference and respect. He could have avoided this at the beginning, I think. Part of it was getting tied up in court. You also have to remember, and I will defend Page on this, we are a little tiny speck in this issue nationally. I mean, I was looking at some city just getting ready to find business is $25,000, I think it is, if they enforce a vaccine mandate. I mean, this is everywhere. This is in school boards. This whole mask thing and vaccines is just gotten.
But it's where we live, Ray.
Well,
this is where we live.
I say Page is in a bad spot. I don't think he handled it well, but on the substance of this, he's right. The county
I got to tell you
Republicans
something.
are wrong.
But no, I think Rita
University.
Her days is onto something. She asked for funds to go into the streets of her district, which happens to have the lowest vaccination rate.
Right.
Tim Fitch's is the highest, as it turns out. And it was denied by the county. And, it's really the vaccine that's the key here. This mask conversation is ridiculous. I feel the same way in the city, where the seniors are only vaccinated at the rate of 61%. It's 85% in St. Charles. These are the seniors in the city. And we keep talking about masks when the real answer to this pandemic is the vaccine.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But the message, all right, the message is out there. Okay, I don't want to hear, I don't understand, or they're gonna put a chip in my body, or I don't have a ride. There's rides, there's education. All of this has been going on for months. And so now it's just time to hey, if you're not vaccinated, it's because you don't want to get vaccinated. So
the health pros all tell you it's a false choice between masks and vaccines. They work together. You need them both. If you're vaccinated, you should be masked. And the fact is, because you still get it.
Don't forget, Ray.
Contradiction there. None. Zero.
Right, but the key really is the vaccine. Because
no, the key is both. That's what they're saying. They're not saying no. Maybe Dr. Brennan thinks that. The pros all think it's a combination of vaccine.
But Ray, we have limited resources to get the message out, and everything today should be on vaccine.
No, everything is on vaccine. Charlie, who in America does not know that they should get vaccinated? I defy you to tell me anybody.
The people who work in the nursing homes, Alvin.
But no. I choose not to do it. But they know it's there, it's available, they can get it done.
Well, my solution then again is the following, Ray and others. My solution is that if you are unvaccinated and you go to the hospital and because of COVID-19, you pay your own way. And if you're an employee of the state, the city, the nursing home, and you decide to go unvaccinated and you're part of the health plan, you pay a higher premium, $200 a month.
Do that, Charlie.
But I agree with you.
That's not real. And let me tell you something. You know what I would do if you put me in charge, and maybe I'm auditioning for the $2 million PR kit. I would like to see a national campaign featuring the members of the greatest generation, guys 90, whatever they are, looking into the camera and said, listen, we had something called shared sacrifice. Get with it. That's what we did. Some people didn't like the war. They still rationed. We need to get back to a concept where the country believes in shared sacrifice, and
the greater good.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But do you really think that the anti-vaxxers and the Trump people are going to listen to those people and go, yeah, that's what we need to do? They'll just
better idea.
Donald Trump was
counties
booed.
listening. It's better than
and you know why Bill's right is because our appetite for media is so different. The people you're trying to reach, Ray, are going to be watching Newsmax and One America, One. Whatever.
I think they'll
never hear the message.
Listen to if they had a bunch of 90-year-old veterans, I think they'd listen.
You might be right. Let me ask you while we're at it.
This week when he told people to get vaccinated. Just saying.
Hey, Ray, what about the plans to have a big makeover for 7th Street in downtown St. Louis, connecting the convention center to Ballpark Village? This announcement came after we had that discussion last week based on an article you wrote in the Riverfront Times that, the Central Corridor is fine and good, but we got to start concentrating on North St. Louis and parts of South St. Louis. And, the Board of Aldermen had put in some money for 4 North St. Louis streets. That was taken out by the mayor. And now we've got a homeless encampment going crazy on Tucker. We have Rain nightclub and shootings there. And the answer is to improve 7th Street? Really?
It's a little like masks and vaccines. You can do both. I think that the idea of a project along 7th Street is fine. The idea of a private public kind of contribution, though, and if I read it correctly in the paper, it's a lot of the folks who are, including the Cardinals, who are impacted by it, putting up some money, and then the government infrastructure piece is part of it. And I think it's a really good project. I think we're still waiting for the patient capital to show up in North City and in South Grand. And so, but I don't think that and I know this isn't Greater St. Louis's project. I know Greater St. Louis, Jason Hall was it was in the paper about it and did a press release at their site. And it does speak to one of the points I made about a little bit of a lack of transparency because nobody knows exactly what they do and when they do it. But I will say this, that if Greater St. Louis was part of this, good for them. I mean, it's not like I wrote a column saying they should do nothing but North St. Louis.
Well, Ray, let me interrupt you for just a minute. To fix downtown at all, it isn't the sidewalks and the street going from Ballpark Village to the convention center. It's really about public safety, and that should be taken care of before they work on sidewalks that make it easier to walk from Ballpark Village. I mean, it's really priorities all messed up, if you ask me.
All money should go to cops on every corner. I know I've said it 1,000 times. Memphis, other places, cops on every corner. From Thursday through Sunday night.
And
cops
I agree
on every corner. But
I agree with all of you.
Put money into that.
I'm not
Ballpark Village is awfully important. I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, it's a significant portion of our real estate downtown. So anything they can do while the crime problem is being addressed to keep Ballpark Village user-friendly to the tourists who want to feel safe, who will still come. I can't believe I hear myself saying this, but I'm totally with this.
Well, I think Bill is right. I mean, the Square employees are staying home. They've been told they're temporarily closing their new almost $100 million 900 North Tucker because of the problems of crime and homelessness in downtown St. Louis. It's mind-boggling. I've never seen a company in the country say this before. And we're going to talk about bike paths and street lighting on 7th Street and improved sidewalks. You got to be kidding me.
Well, you can't cease to exist. You can't stop taking care of all of the property that is being used in downtown St. Louis by citizens, can you? I mean, just until let's freeze, let's just seal off every street.
How about
until
address?
we?
Okay,
Charlie,
do you think most people are concerned with the bike path on 7th Street in downtown, or with the homeless and the homicides?
I think you can address all three.
Well, let's start.
We're not.
Charlie,
We're only addressing the
We're waiting.
sidewalks.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
To listen to you guys, would you think the city was just a giant police department? I mean, it's obviously an important part of what the city does. I happen to be on the team, and I certainly don't want to defund the police. I do think that the initiatives that they have talked about taking to try to eradicate causes of crime, be it more recreation centers, whatever things they can do to attack the causes, is an important function of it. I agree with everybody. There definitely needs to be a greater police.
Okay,
presence.
Alvin, how about you? Do you think that rid of her days of the St. Louis County Council is within her right to withhold millions of dollars for the expansion of the convention center in downtown St. Louis until her district gets a recreation complex? That's what she's threatened.
Well, this seems to be the plea of the day. I think you could do both, but no, the North County Rec Center needs to be a priority. And I would say to County Executive Page, that was a promise, and that's a promise that should be kept. And
I agree.
You know, as the county executive, now you could take control and get after that, regardless of what Rita Days or anybody else wants to say. Listen, the county said it was going to get done, so get that done first and foremost.
My question is this,
1
Charlie.
minute to go.
I have a question real quick. Why should she have to be asking this? In other words, I completely agree with Rita, but I also think it's critical that that we support the convention center as we're obligated to. My question is, what's going on in the Page administration that should even have been a choice? Why aren't they doing both, again, as the theme goes? But I don't understand why she's even in that position. Good for her.
No, because she's trying to take control of that situation because she put herself in a bad, wait a minute. She put herself in a horrible situation as far as this whole mask regulation mandate, whatever there. So this political
I don't think
here.
she did at all. I'm sorry. I don't think she did at all.
I
what,
think
on the mask?
I think here.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill,
You thought she was right on the mask?
Let Bill say
Voting against it?
Hey, hold your thoughts, because that's all
Her
the time
problem
we
was
have
with
for this
Sam
edition.
Page and the way he did it.
Thanks,
so what?
everybody.
You
We're
still
flat out of time. But in a
Well, I'll
moment,
call you, Alvin.
we've got next up Robert Criss, Professor Emeritus of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Washington University. We'll talk about all this rain and flooding. Alvin and Bill posing the questions next.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Hey, well, thank you for hanging with us. Bill McClellan, Alvin Reid here with you for Next Up. And the late Richard Pryor once said in one of his skits, can't nobody stop no water where it wants to go. But our guest tonight, Bob Criss, Professor Emeritus of Earth and Planetary Sciences, Washington University. He seems to think we can stop some of this water from just running rampant. Professor Criss, thank you for joining us tonight. And
pleasure.
As we see the remnants of Hurricane Ida roar through the East Coast, and there's flooding everywhere. And as many of us who live in developments near a creek, the creek might not be the problem, but the housing complexes that they built, and it's now where it was woods, is now covered with concrete, cement. This is causing a problem, isn't it?
This is a huge problem. And one of the peculiar things is that flash flooding or flooding of big rivers, regional flooding, seems to get most of the press and captures the popular mind. You know, the 1993 flood was boring compared to what happens on small creeks in our neighborhoods. First of all, the 93 flood that gets all the press and the attention as being a great one, that lasted months. There's plenty of time for pictures of guys sliding around through mud and drizzle, stacking sandbags, politicians fly in with their helicopters and make their speeches. Those things are boring. We just had more people killed in New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and New Jersey than died in 1993. Flash flooding happens close to people. It happens close to valuable properties. These aren't the mud flats down by the river. This is right in our own neighborhoods. And we've even had problems in the last few days in St. Louis. It's an extraordinary phenomenon that develops rapidly. It's extremely dangerous, and it's really not appreciated very much. And you are right, Alvin. It's putting stuff in harm's way unnecessarily. That's the fundamental root of the problem.
Professor, in July, you were interviewed by Bryce Gray in the Post-Dispatch, and you were saying that River de Pere is a major, major problem. And of course, we've had problems there. And it sounded very bleak, like we're going to continue having problems there. So if you would talk a little bit about River de Pere, and then I want to know if you're working with anybody on this, if the city is cooperative or Corps of Engineers, who do you work with when you've identified a problem? But first, if you talk about River de Pere a minute.
I am on the University City Stormwater Commission, and I have some excellent colleagues, mostly engineers, but one physicist also on the commission. We've set up an early warning system. We're still developing it and getting it implemented. But so far as the upper River de Pere goes, it is one of the most flash flood prone creeks, if not the worst, in Missouri. It just less than 2 days ago, we had less than an inch of rain. Now, this is a day after the big Central West End flood. We had an inch of rain, less. And the upper River de Pere at our gauging station rose 8 feet in an hour. The flow of the creek went from less than 1 cubic foot a second to over 2,100 cubic feet a second in less than an hour. These small creeks are so volatile. And what we have done is we put all kinds of homes and development in very close to the creek where they don't belong. The buyouts along Wilson Avenue after the big 2008 so-called Hurricane Ike remnant flood, that used to be a meandering stream through there. That is not the place you build homes. And yet we build places and then we buy them out. We actually had fatalities there. The place floods all the time. It's a very dangerous scenario we've created. But at the heart of it, there's impervious surfaces, climate change, all kinds of things we can talk about. But at the heart of it is building incorrectly, channelizing streams, and putting stuff where it doesn't belong.
So,
who did the buyouts? Excuse me.
No, go ahead, Bill.
What agency did the buyouts in 2000 after the 2008 flood? And are there more on the horizon, do you think?
I hope there are more on the horizon because that is the correct solution to the problem. Generally, though, we try to engineer our streams more, and that actually makes them worse. If you've already got a problem, you channelize the stream and you make the water flow faster. The problem with our urban flash floods is that it's too much delivery of water too fast to the creeks, and you overwhelm the capacity of the channel to carry the water, then it goes over land and reoccupies the floodplain. But it's acceleration of the water that's the principal problem, and that's impervious surfaces do that, but channelization does that. And so we have over-engineered our streams. The Mississippi River is over-engineered and channelized, and which is why the reach right here off of St. Louis and points south is one of the most flood-prone stretches of the river in the United States. It's too narrow. The river is less than half as wide as it was historically. So is the Missouri River, clear across the state. They're less than half as wide. We've taken the meanders out. We've disconnected the rivers from their natural floodplains. And so we've removed the storage capacity of the river while accelerating the water. Then when it rains, you get too much too quickly. It's pretty simple, but the general idea is, oh, we've got a problem because we screwed up the river too much, so give us more money so we can screw it up some more. I don't like that approach.
Well, all right. If you use that money in the right way, what would you do? Would you just take out some of the levees, and would you just like create areas where kind of like when you like build a man-made lake that, hey, I'm sorry that there's stuff here, but it's going to have to move and be bought out because you're going to be now living on what used to be the floodplain and now again is the floodplain. I mean, is that doable?
Yes, it is.
Right.
What we're doing is not doable. It is not sustainable. We have repeatedly flooded properties, and those should be bought out. That's the best solution, not more engineering. The other thing, and it's always time to run the clock backwards, it's almost impossible, but where we have opportunities, we should try to restore some of the natural function of these watersheds to the fullest
I'll follow up on that.
We can.
Okay, like the creek that runs near my house, it's literally about 20 yards from one corner of my backyard. And ultimately, I guess it ends up in the River de Pere. It's a natural creek. I mean, I live on one of those, like there's the slight hill, and then the creek is right where it kind of flattens out. I guess 100,000 years ago or 10,000, whatever, this is what actually created the geography about where I live in Southeast Kirkwood. Now more water is running into it because of all of the development, but what can be done with those that maybe could reduce, the water that it pushes on? Could they be, where it possible, could they be widened? Could they be deepened? That's just since it was a natural creek to begin with, it's just going to have to deal with the water that it takes in?
Well, the first thing we have to do is recognize we have a problem. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous. Until you figure out that you're a drunk, you really have a drinking problem, you're not going to correct the problem. Right now, what is it? 3 days ago, we had flooding on Kirkwood Avenue down in Webster Groves.
Mm-hmm.
That site is exactly adjacent to a planned new development.
Yes.
And they're planning to build there with a TIF. How stupid. What is the matter with our region? We are almost the poster child for stupid development post-1993. We have billions of dollars of new investment in Chesterfield Valley. We have disastrous projects, the 370 Premier Levee near St. Peter's. Go look at it. There's nothing there. There's an RV park. They levied off a big section of land and nothing came. We have Earth City, we have St. Louis Mills, we have Maryland Heights repeatedly trying for more than a decade to build up the area near Creve Coeur Lake in the Howard Bend Levee District. We keep building and building and throwing stuff where it doesn't belong. The first thing we have to do is quit doing what we're doing. Then we can begin to try to fix the problem, but we're making it worse faster than we're fixing anything.
Professor, you mentioned the development in Webster Groves, and it's called Shady Creek, that flooded Kirkwood. And I was reading about it, trying to figure out if this is a good or bad plan or anything. And the people who are behind the development say that this development is going to help Shady Creek. And the people who are against the development say you can't have a big development right here. It's just going to create more problems. I mean, how do we sort this out? And what's your thoughts about Shady Creek and the development?
Yes, this particular creek, I actually walked that creek, some section of it in that region less than a month ago.
Okay.
And it had minnows, there were some invertebrates and stuff. It was a nice creek, vegetated banks. It was beginning to show some signs of flash flooding problems with removal of some of the finer sediments and stuff. But it was in pretty good shape as the St. Louis Creek goes, in our municipal boundaries. It's not like out in the country or something, but it was in fairly good shape. There are problems, though, downstream. And this development, if you want my 2 cents on the development, it's totally out of character for Webster Groves. It's going to be a bunch of more impervious surface. They will channelize that section of the creek, have 15 acres of more development, more rapid runoff. It's just the wrong thing to do, and it's the wrong place. They're going to have traffic congestion problems with all the people that are going to move into this place. It's a quaint old neighborhood. It's a beautiful place. It's totally out of character. What a stupid thing to do. And to expect a TIF to make it possible, if these ideas were so great, they ought to pay for themselves.
Thank you.
Professor, you said the 2 magic words a little earlier, climate, impact. It's all part of it too. And if we're doing the wrong things and building, and as you say, it's just stupid, then it'd just be really stupid to ignore what's going on with our atmosphere.
There, it is certainly true that the atmosphere is a very small reservoir of material. When you're flying in a plane at 40,000 feet or 35,000 feet, more than half of the atmosphere is below you. Even though you see the aurora and shooting stars and stuff 100 kilometers higher. But most of the weight of the atmosphere is really hugging the earth. And the total, if you think of the oceans, they are on average 3.8 kilometers deep. All the atmosphere, if you could condense it into a liquid, it'd only be worth 10 meters of. So it's a tiny reservoir. It's easily polluted and contaminated. I am certainly concerned about jet traffic, pollution of this rarefied atmosphere up high. I'm certainly concerned about people thinking that millionaires ought to fly to space and put all kinds of exhaust and particulates and stuff high in the atmosphere, really high up. I think that's really dumb. It's a fragile, small reservoir material. It's easily contaminated. And the interface between this, what controls Earth's climate is the interface between the sun and the surface, that's somewhat moderated by this little atmospheric layer we have. And we are certainly changing the small area of the surface of the Earth, and we're dramatically changing its reflectivity, the amount of vegetation, and we're dramatically changing the atmosphere. And I'm as much worried about contrails. A lot of times you look at the sky, almost every cloud you see, you think you're seeing clouds and they're contrails. Mm-hmm. Start looking. That's going to have a real effect.
And Professor, you think that the small streams are a bigger problem than the big rivers, right? I mean,
they're a problem, Bill, because they're close to us. They're right in our backyards. Right. They're close to kids. They're close to property. And it's a proximity to people and the rapidity with which high flows and high water levels are delivered. These streams, you can park your car, walk into a store, and come out and see a ruined car. People aren't used to this. You can go to bed and wake up and find you can't get out of your house.
Well, why do you think that it hasn't gotten more press and more publicity? I mean, it's still the big rivers that people talk about. Mississippi and the Missouri. Who's at fault on this? I mean, how come we don't talk about this?
Well, Bryce Gray, we had a great time. We walked the creeks, went down there. He had a great photographer that took some neat.
Yes, it was a great story Bryce Gray wrote.
I think it's a really interesting story. These things are local, though. What just happened at Central West End? That particular day, we only had 1/10 of an inch in U City. I mean, so the big floods just affect a lot more people at once. But again, they're slow moving and boring. The small creeks, what they do is dramatic. And we've had several examples in the last 3 days of just what these things can do.
Is it
Another
mostly
thing
in
to
the
think
cities?
about, Bill, is that, the Mississippi River during 1993,
Yes.
the highest flow was only 6 times the average.
Right.
Just in U City 2 days ago, we went up a factor of 2,000. And we did it in an hour. 2,000 times more water than you had an hour earlier. I mean, these things are dramatic. They catch people by surprise, and sometimes there are fatalities. There's a lot of property damage.
We actually
Serious problem.
Near the airport, I think this was maybe a month and a half ago, a little girl, they got out of their car, and the little girl got, I guess into a drainage system and died. I'm sure, when you read that or heard that, you were thinking that was just totally unnecessary. And that leads me to what I was going to say was, I grew up kind of, the term flash flood was something that happened in rural areas or not around where I lived. And that may have changed, but even so, I still, that term doesn't frighten me. And so obviously maybe I'm part of the problem. And I live by a creek, and it really never comes over its banks. It does run, pretty strong sometimes, but the whole flash flood still doesn't ring an alarm. There's a flash flood warning in St. Louis County or St. Louis City. And when it comes up, I'm not thinking about, oh, wow, I better be watching that creek out there. So how do we convince people that you hear flash flood, you better be concerned?
Yeah, they happen so rapidly, it's hard to get warnings out. Even with our early warning system that we're developing, me and especially this fellow named Eric Stein, he's one of our stormwater commissioners, really done a lot of heavy lifting on identifying equipment and stuff to make this possible. We can hardly give a half hour, 45 minutes heads up.
Mm-hmm.
It's so the warning time is short. One message that needs to be out there is that one of the ways people really get killed is trying to drive their cars through flooded waters. And boy, you'd better watch that. Your car can stall. As soon as these waters are fast and they got a lot of debris in them, and as soon as your car is in flotation, you got no acceleration, no steering, no brakes, and you're going down. You're in a sinking boat. It is dangerous. People get out of the car to what? You're just going to get swept away. There's not the best Olympic swimmer could swim against these. These things are moving faster than you can run. It's dangerous water, very turbulent, full of debris. Flash floods are dangerous. Maybe the term flash flood makes people think of the West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
With all the impervious surfaces, we're making the West is not vegetated. It's got all these rocky surfaces and steep slopes. That's why they flash flood. But with our storm sewers and our impervious surfaces and our channelized streams, we're making western gulches out of our local creeks that ought to be full of minnows and docile, slow-flowing things.
Right. Well, the three of us have come up with a possible solution. Let's change that. Around here, let's not call them flash floods. Let's call them deadly water, something to draw attention.
They are deadly. And like I said, in the last 2 days, 43 people I just read got killed in New York. This is a hurricane remnant. It's not the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
These just sharp convective storms from all the moisture blown in. But it's not hurricane winds. That's what happened in the Hurricane Ike remnant. Hurricane Ike in 2008 came up the Mississippi Valley just like a spin on a bowling ball and then right for St. Louis. But then it hit a cold front, and that remnant really dumped a bunch of rain on us. And the real danger is a couple inches of rain in an hour. That's what really makes small creeks go crazy. Mm-hmm. So intense rain for a short time. Big rivers don't care. Even the Merrimack River wouldn't give a hoot. But it responds to like 3 days of rain or something. Heavy rain will make it flood.
Professor, when we think of like the Mississippi or the Missouri, we think, well, the Corps of Engineers is who you deal with. When you're talking about like River de Pere or Coldwater Creek, are you dealing with local governments or who would you go to talk to about fixing River de Pere?
Well, the people that are allegedly fixing it are MSD and the Army Corps of Engineers, and they mostly have the wrong idea. They don't have natural scientists on their staff. They think they know better. This is the problem. Our streams have been channelized. Our response is not correct. The problem with a lot of these things is they've been over-engineered, and more engineering is not going to help them. More levees is not going to protect us from floods along the big rivers. It's the wrong approach. It's part of the problem. So narrowing the streams, straighten them out.
So with River de Pere, just what could you do to change it right now? And I mean, and I know this is going to sound like crazy, but like if you lined the bottom of it with, like big rocks and maybe grow some vegetation in it, would that help? Or I mean, I don't know. I've always just known that you drive over River de Pere and you say like, oh my gosh, River de Pere. All right, it looks like Los Angeles, and where they have car chases, in their like equivalent to River de Pere. What can be done?
It's really hard to, again, spin the clock backwards. Mm-hmm. The River de Pere along Wilson Avenue used to be 2 or 3 times longer than it is now. Think of the storage in the channel, just the channel that you've lost. It used to be vegetated, woods. These kind of areas are great for farming, they're great for parks, they're stupid places to build stuff. If used correctly, I mean, the rivers are our friends, the streams are our friends. Putting stuff where it doesn't belong, it's just poor land use. And it's, golly, our floodplains in St. Louis, those are some of the most fertile grounds, agricultural grounds in the world. And besides having the fertile ground, you've got valuable groundwater supplies beneath those places.
Is
any place stupid thing to build a Target or a big box store and big shopping centers there? What a waste!
Is there an example out there of any city metropolitan area that's doing it right that you could name?
I can't think of anybody that's doing it right. Some places are not developing the way we are in these low-lying areas. We just seem to have a giant appetite in the St. Louis area for building along our floodplains, and we ought to start curtailing that. I mean, even in the last year or two, besides some of the developments I've talked about, there's a big bunch of stuff going. Where 270 goes across the Mississippi River. Okay. Big developments right there on the Missouri side. Why in the heck are they building there?
All right. Well, Professor, we're in our last minute. So, all right, now this is your last. You get the last word. What are you going to tell? Just stop building stuff, or build it more responsibly, or in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Gee, we ought to be more thoughtful about land use. The world's a wonderful place. Rivers are great. Creeks are great. We ought to have more respect for the natural environment And you know, old timers a few hundred years ago built more sensibly.
All right.
You don't find some of these old farmhouses and stuff right by rivers.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Professor. And
Thank
we
you.
learned a lot about water and where it flows. And thank you for hanging out with us, Bill McClellan and myself. We look forward to seeing you again next week on Donnybrook and Next Up. And Professor, I will never look at my creek the same way again. Y'all have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.